Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the David's Hope Law Enforcement and Mental Health Criminal Justice Collaboration Awards for 2018. It'll be our 5th year of doing law enforcement awards. I say give us a hand. It's okay to ask for a hand because for us, because we're celebrating you. We're celebrating the work that our law enforcement officers do every day from morning till night and through the night, keeping us safe and bringing our community into a place of order. That's why we call it law and order, right? So we like the law sometimes not so much. Sometimes we think some of the laws need changed, but we love those who are in charge of keeping law and order. And I'd like to ask, just to start tonight, for everyone that is a law enforcement officer of any type, probation or otherwise, to please stand and let's give them all a hand. That's a lot. So we will be having, those of you that are receiving awards, if you haven't picked up your box to take the award home in so it doesn't toss around in the back seat of your car, please remember to do that, because it's not always been good when people go home without the box. So most of you have them. There are a few left on the table out there. So I just want to talk just briefly about why we do this. And this event is really what keeps me going personally, and I know it's what keeps many of our board members and volunteers going. We always hear about the tragedies. Some of us have experienced tragedies. And we always get a lot of details when things get all messed up. And things get messed up quite frequently, as we all know. Not just here, but all across the country. But every day, officers are out there doing work that none of us would even think about doing. And they're doing it because they care about our community, our families, and about our country. So this night is really a celebration of the heroic service that law enforcement provides for us, and a thank you and acknowledgement that we recognize you as often our mental health crisis service providers. And we talk about it every year, about how sad that is. But we want you to know that we are working with you, and you as law enforcement, most have really gotten in this, and really we're following the leadership that you've provided. The Arizona Sheriff's Association, with the help of Sheriff Masher, helping us clinch that nomination there. It's kind of like a nomination to us. But to get the endorsement of the Arizona Sheriff's Association, that was a really big deal. And of course, we have the Arizona Association of Counties, the Arizona Psychiatric Society, and their endorsement of the Stepping Up Awards and Summit is very meaningful. It just changes everything. And it used to be that, you know, you have the left-wing kind of liberals, and they kind of get labeled as sort of a bunch of nutcases. And then you have the very conservative hardline right. And and I always talk about it, we were good at fighting. Arizona was the best. We could fight it out, and we could cause trouble and division amongst ourselves, and we could make sure that we're looking good and everybody else looked bad. I mean, and we did that for a number of years. It seemed to me that we were pretty well on our way to becoming even more divided. But something changed. I started doing this about 10 years ago when my son David started intersecting with the justice system. And it was scary. It was mightily scary. You know, I'm like, don't they see he's sick, that he's not a criminal, that he doesn't need to go to prison? No, they didn't. They did not see that. And then so many people want to blame law enforcement. Oh, well, that officer shouldn't have arrested him. You know, that officer should have did things differently. Really? Let's blame the officer? Really? So, I mean, I just got really tired of it. And I know David got tired of it. And with the help of God and a lot of people that cared, we were able to begin building a coalition. And Dr. Nagel and Don Nagel, her work at the Maricopa County Jail, she had that same vision to bring people together. And it's happening. I mean, look at who's here tonight. So our goal is to present a unified voice to our lawmakers. I mean, a lot of work is being done at the county level, and that's what Stepping Up's about. But there's work that needs to be done at the state level as well. And none of us has all the answers. None of us knows exactly what laws would be best to change and which ones to change first and which ones to hold off on. But we're creating that, with your help, we're creating that dialogue amongst each other so that we can present a unified voice. When we do talk to our legislators, let's all say things that make sense, and let's talk to each other first. And let's stick together. We all have the same goal. And tonight we're celebrating our law enforcement officers that are bringing the change to the state. We're also celebrating our judicial officers that are dedicated to improving our mental health and criminal justice systems intersection, and community members who are making a difference at that intersection as well. So, with that being said, I am going to have David, my son, come up, and he's going to have his greeting / prayer. We never know exactly. But go ahead, Dave. This is David Brunsick.
Hey, everybody. Congratulations on all the award winners. I'm really excited about tonight. I hope you all are excited about tonight. I just wrote a couple words I wanted to say. The one thing that really came to my heart today about I'm really humbled, and I know that I'm really humbled to be here. I know I'm not entitled to be here. I don't deserve to be here, but by the grace of God, I'm here. And I just wanted to say that what I thought came to my heart today was that, you know how Jesus, whenever he went to the cross and just everything that he did it for all of us so that everyone could be in heaven, you know. And that's my dream, that everyone could be in heaven. And just that, you know, out of his broken life, out of all the brokenness that he suffered, all the pain that he suffered, thank God I'm going to be in heaven one day. And but just like I was just thinking about how there's no comparison, but it's just a little thing that came in my heart today about how, like, out of all the brokenness of my life, all the brokenness all the pain, all the hurt I experienced in my life, through God and through a miracle working mother, God created something beautiful, you know. God created something beautiful out of that, so that you are here, and you are here to be, you know, love, and you are love tonight. And I saw whenever I was sitting over there, I saw a big heart in my spirit. I saw a big heart, and it said law and police, and then it was all covered up, and it said love over top of it, and that's really awesome. But I just wrote a couple of real short words I want to say. It says, "Hi everyone, I just wanted to share a couple words from my heart. I have always believed in miracles, as I have seen many of them happen in my life. I just really think that this event and everyone here is a huge miracle. I want to say congratulations to all the heroes here we honor here today, and also a special honor to my mother Mary, fighting for the cause as of in the words of the Lord Jesus, mercy, justice, and faith. As for me, I truly am a living, breathing miracle. I cannot tell you the pain and suffering that mental health issues have caused me in my life, but I can tell you that the power of hope is greater. All of you gathered here today truly are a bright, shining beacon of hope for everyone involved in the cause of battling mental illness. I'm so thankful for each and every person who has opened their hearts to reach out with unconditional love and compassion and mercy towards those who suffer with mental illness. I believe God's arms are open wide to everyone here today. I like to say that God's love is chasing us and will find us all and engulf us. And so, Lord, where do I put my hope? My only hope is in you. Psalm 39:7. Jesus is the high priest of all hope, which hope all who have fled for the refuge at the foot of the cross, at the feet of the true Messiah, the hope of Israel. We have this hope as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast. I'm not ashamed to say that Jesus is the anchor of my soul. And Lord, I wait and hope for your salvation. Genesis 49:18. Hey, I love you all. That's really all I had to say. God bless you. Congratulations.
Thanks, David. Thank you, David. And before we start calling people up, I also want to thank and acknowledge Jim Dunn. Jim, you want to stand for a second? Director of the National Alliance of Mental Illness of Arizona. And Kathy Basher. Kathy's here right now. There we go. Kathy from the OIFA Office of Access. So their continuing support of our work has been extremely meaningful and has enabled us to continue with the mission. So I just want to thank you both. So we are ready to begin our awards. And so I'd like Steve Harvey, Sharon Dine, and Sam, if you're ready. I'm going to have Sam say just a fraction of a word. So folks that weren't here today will know that this is Major Sam Cochran, founder and creator of crisis intervention teams in the nation and in the world, right?
Well, thank you. I like the way Mary Lou gave me a good clue. You know, in CIT, we learned verbal de-escalation and body language and tone of voice is 93% a part of communication. So Mary Lou says, I got a fraction of a second, which means don't talk long, Sam. So her words of 7% really had powerful meaning there. I too want to congratulate the winners. But let me put a little twist on this. We're here to honor great champions with regards to awards and the things that they have successfully accomplished. But let me redirect the congratulations. Let me speak on behalf of the law enforcement officers because I know what they have been thinking and what they have gone through. And my reflection is back to these communities that are represented here. It goes back to these leaders, it goes back to these advocacy. Because the truth of the matter is, over the last many years, the state of Arizona and these communities here have been working tenaciously to make things better. And by this making things better, though not everything is perfect, but by making things better, you have helped to restore why you have become a law enforcement officer. And there's no worse feeling to become a law enforcement officer because every law enforcement officer, when they raise their hand and get sworn in for their duty, they say, why did you join law enforcement? It's to help the community. It's to help people within the community. And sometimes, you know, things don't always go that way. And it gets to be complicated. And many times there's nothing more painful than law enforcement officers having to use the criminal justice system inappropriately only to help someone. And by the fact that these communities are coming together and by the fact of having these awards program, you're instilling back to the very basic of why these law enforcement officers became law enforcement officers. That is to help the community and help citizens of the community. So thank you for the leaders here, the advocacy, and thank you officers that are champions with regards to the awards that you'll be receiving.
Thank you, Major Cochran. And I'm going to, I'm going to introduce Sharon Dine first. Sharon is the wife of the late Dr. Max Dine, who was a tremendous mental health advocate. And the first award we're going to be giving tonight is the Max Dine Award. And that's going to be presented by last year's winner, Steve Harvey.
Well, this is the second year for the Max Dine Advocacy Award, and my late husband passed away 2 years ago, and I think he would be very happy and very proud to know that this wonderful organization is honoring him and his name by giving him this award. Or by having the award in his name, I'm sorry. My husband was a medical oncologist before he retired from his medical practice, and he immediately got involved in mental health advocacy as a volunteer, and he did that almost until the day he died. He never gave up. When he was sick and not able to really get out, he was constantly on his computer or on his phone, just giving to others, and I'm just really very proud of him and proud of the person who's going to receive this award.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, let me take this one.
Good evening. Kathy Basher has devoted herself to mental health advocacy for the last 20 years here in Arizona. Oh, okay. Do you want to come up, Kathy? Okay. Okay. She is a staunch advocate for family and peer voices being heard at all levels of the system. Kathy had the privilege of advocating alongside Max. Currently, Ms. Basher is on the Mental Health America of Arizona's board, and she has worked at the state for the last 9 years. She is currently the bureau chief for the Office of Individual and Family Affairs with the Division of Healthcare Advocacy and Advancement for the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System, which we call ACCESS. In the past, Kathy has served as president of NAMI Southeast Valley. She served on the Arizona State Hospital Governance and NAMI Arizona boards. She served on the ACCESS Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee. Kathy created an exhibit called Through Our Eyes, which toured the United States, and this exhibit showcased peers doing what they enjoyed doing. A fellow advocate commented, Kathy embodies the concept of selfless leadership. She can see the strengths within each of us and helps us all become leaders in our own right. That is her superpower. Since Kathy took over as the Bureau Chief of Individual and Family Affairs, she has made numerous changes. Peer and family members participate in ACCESS and REBA committees and the new ACCESS Complete plans. Forensic peer and family support will be available to Arizona Medicaid participants involved with the criminal justice system. Advocating for persons with a mental illness can be very stressful. The environment is often emotionally charged. Kathy has a good sense of humor, and this often helps to keep issues in perspective. There is a plaque on Kathy's office door that reads, "Well-behaved women rarely make history." Ms. Basher has definitely made history. It is with great pride that David's Hope presents Kathy Basher with the 2018 Max Dine Advocacy Award. She will now speak for 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, Steve. I was actually threatened if I spoke more than 3 minutes that Sheriff Masher would come and take me down off the stage, which I think would really be neat. Anyway, you guys have no idea how important this award is to me. I knew Max Stein. He was gruff and very tenacious, and we fought and we loved each other. One of Max's passions was seclusion and restraint. 51 years ago today, I was held in a cell 6x9, a leather restraints bound my arms and legs. I was 17. I lived in that cell every day and night for 3 months. Doctors would administer ECT and insulin shock. The orderlies snuck in at night to pay their respects. Those 3 months left profound impact on my life. I went on to spend 5 years in mental hospitals, including the Arizona State Hospital, reflecting the professionals' lack of knowledge of PTSD. Those years of pain for my family, who were never offered any kind of support. Isolation, violence, and inhumane treatment are the hallmarks of incarceration. The ACE study reminds us that people who experience trauma at an early age are then vulnerable to mental illness and drug addiction. They enter the prison system where symptoms are exacerbated and kindness is a foreign concept. No wonder our recidivism rate is so high. For 51 years, I daily relive that cell. Nights for me are filled with terrors, so real that I dread going to bed at night. Daily, I walk the long corridors to my office, passing locked doors and small windows. The pain and panic is overwhelming. Certain holidays find me alone in the desert where no one can see my torment. For years, I have carried this Thai silk elephant that is a symbol of my hope that my mother would get to know what I have become, a leader in our community. Because of stigma, my mother was never able to truly know what I have become. I am fortunate to have experienced incredible support through these years. Many of the long in this room have been there for me. Like Max Stein, I have worked very hard to return that kindness to others who have followed. Like my role model, Mary Lou, I have worked very hard to prevent our mentally ill from ever entering the prison system. Every day, people are released from prison facing the same terrors I faced. They have little outreach and support. They did their time, but punishment never ends. Their families receive no education or support on how to help those that they love but no longer recognize. The emotional roller coaster is full of guilt, remorse, and feelings of failure. No wonder people reoffend. Life is sometimes unbearable. In November, I am retiring to Yavapai County. Yay, Sheriff Masher. I look back at all what we as a community have accomplished. We should feel very proud. Our accomplishments are the result of working together to ensure dignity of the lives of others. In my retirement, I will be working along your side, pushing and prodding, just like Max would have done. And thank you so much.
Go ahead and just take it then. I'll skip down over here to the corner.
So this is the second time I get to introduce Sheriff Paul Pizzone, my sheriff. Could you come up, Sheriff? Sheriff Pizzone is transforming Arizona's largest sheriff's department and the one most in need of change, per the opinion of many. Making the most of the largely professional and dedicated staff at MCSO, Sheriff Pizzone's leadership and commitment to professional service is successfully mitigating through the decades of conflict. He has consistently stated publicly and to his staff that he wants to see treatment as the emphasis and frontline response for people with mental illness and substance abuse. And to that end, he took what had been the hallmark of MCSO, the tents, and after careful study, so the facts could drive the decision making, he had all the tents removed and closed the facility. He then dedicated the remaining support buildings to an intensive substance abuse treatment program that addresses mental health needs for a population often underserved in the community, and instead have been caught in the revolving door of jail and prison. His passion for doing the right thing and standing by his belief in the power of treatment to help individuals heal and return to productive lives as parents, as workers, as community members is transmitted to his staff on a daily basis and to the community in his multiple outreach efforts and speaking engagements. Sheriff Pizzone has started the first direct supervision model for MCSO, coupled with the treatment program. He is also developing a number of community-based task force to begin rebuilding relationships and communications with communities such as the Latino and African American community. He wants to rebuild trust. As a servant leader, he leads by example. He takes the time to get out to each of his jails and their clinics and to speak in a way that affirms their work. He is quick to turn a compliment or kudos to the people, back to the people who he says are doing the real work. He is knowledgeable about law enforcement, but also about the issues surrounding mental health and substance use so that he can transmit the commitment to those around him and inspire confidence in the community as well. Rebuilding a trust that had been broken with many. He is committed to diversity and doesn't fear speaking from the perspective of his faith. He asks only that he be judged by the progress he can make while serving in his role. It is my honor and David's honor, to present the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award to Sheriff Paul Pizzone. Yes, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm not sure who wrote that script. I'm going to find out, though, because I think it's probably describing somebody else other than me. But let me begin by saying this. First of all, thank you, because you all know I'm the beneficiary of this, but it's really the men and women of MCSO who I see. There's at least a handful of our employees here who are really the ones that do the work and that are deserving of this recognition. But when you're the head of the office, oftentimes you're the one who's the beneficiary. And I really would like if you'd give them the appreciation and the gratitude for the work that they're doing, because they truly do all the work. And I don't know where David went. Where did he go? I'd be remiss if I didn't just express, there you are. What beautiful words you shared. And the fact that you do two things exceptionally well. You speak with your faith and conviction, and you express love. And there's no two more powerful forces than those things. So thank you for inspiring everybody in this room to make a difference for you and for our entire community, because you are leading us with your heart, and that's what compels us to follow. So thank you so much, David. And I'm going to be brief and leave an extra 30 seconds or so to the next person, but I'm always honored to stand here with the other law enforcement leaders and the law enforcement representatives, because it is a trying career in many ways. And not that our workload is any more than anyone else in this room. We all carry it together. But to have this honor to be a sheriff in Arizona, along with these colleagues who are exceptional, truly is a huge privilege. And when we sit and meet and talk about different things as leaders, what is most inspiring and most impressive is I truly believe there is strength in humility and there's strength in compassion, that we don't need to have a heavy hand or to abuse the power, the privilege that we've been given to have impact. It's quite the opposite. The more patient we are, the more compassionate we are, and the humility we show from this privilege is really what moves mountains and gives others the opportunity to thrive. So to work with these men and women every day who really lead in that way, I truly believe that right now, although we face many challenges and oftentimes criticism, unfair or sometimes unfortunate, I think this is a turning point where you will see law enforcement lead by example in a way that hasn't been seen in the past, where we truly are solution-driven, and that communities such as those with mental health challenges or drug addiction or just wellness in general are all embraced and supported, and that our objectives are to fill our schools and our churches and to empty our prisons and our jails, with the exception of those, unfortunately, who we know truly are intent on doing harm to our families. So I'm honored to accept this on behalf of the men and women of MCSO. It is the greatest privilege of my professional career to be a sheriff in Arizona, and I so appreciate all the work that all of you are doing. So God bless you and thank you.
I forgot Sheriff Masher's bio. So, but you all have Sheriff Masher's bio in the program, those of you who were here today. But I am going to introduce to you Sheriff Scott Masher, who is the sheriff of Yavapai County. And he's been with the Yavapai County Sheriffs for over 30 years, and he's been through the ranks. He's been just about every position, done just about every job there is to do there. And we are thrilled that you're here, Sheriff Masher. You've done so much for the work of mental health, criminal justice collaboration, and we honored you with an award last year, rightfully so. So we thank you, and we're going to turn it over to you to talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. First off, I really wanted to thank Mary Lou. I mean, Mary Lou, look at what you have done. Look at what you have done in the state of Arizona. And as a sheriff, working with other sheriffs, I truly believe the tide is changing on how the criminal justice system deals with mental health. So the first thing I would ask is that we give a hand to Mary Lou for everything that she is doing. It's exceptional. It's, it's so unfortunate that our communities, our state, our nation doesn't have a significant plan in how we deal with mental health in this nation, how we deal with it in our communities, how we deal with it in our jails, and how it's dealt with. And it's just wrong that we take someone or the many of someone's who have a medical condition and incarcerate them when they shouldn't be there incarcerated. That's not the place for treatment. It's not there for resources. So we have to change on how we deal with that. And I think Arizona and people like Mary Lou and those of you here are making a change in how it's dealt with and how we're gonna deal with it in the future. And as Sheriff Penzone said, it's for me, it's an honor to be a sheriff, to be elected. Sheriff Driscoll's here from Coconino County. And the sheriffs in this state, there's only 15 sheriffs, and we have the jails. And it's usually 50% or more of the people in our jail have serious mental illness and have conditions that they shouldn't be getting that kind of treatment in our jails. And when you look at many of you who are police officers and are here tonight getting awards, which congratulations, but when you look at someone standing on the corner in front of Circle K being delusional off their medication, and it's just easier to arrest them and put them in jail, the focus then becomes on the criminal justice system. The process is long, it's lengthy, there's no focus on treatment, there's no focus on how to deal with that. And that's what we're starting to change. So I wanted to thank a few people that I've personally worked with, and then we'll get started on this because I know it's going to be a lot of awards. But we started a program in Arizona with the sheriffs on a reach out program on dealing with and diverting mental health out of our jails and getting prevention and treatment and resources and how we're going to deal with that. And you'll hear much more about that tomorrow from my favorite county attorney, Sheila Polk, who's here and is going to discuss that. But I really want to thank tonight, too, Senator Allen. Sylvia Allen is one who fought for this in the legislature to get monies, to appropriate monies for this pilot program, this reach out program. And so she did a tremendous job. I heard it was one of the best pieces of legislature that went through this last year. That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Governor Ducey to sign that appropriations bill. And I know he has people here, staff here, so I really wanted to thank the governor for him signing that bill for us to do this pilot project. We can't do this without the judicial branch as well. And I know that there are judges here, and I want to thank Judge Napper. I know he's here tonight, and I think he's even going to be getting an award tonight. But when you look at that, what I just said was there's 3 branches of government right there. This isn't about politics. This is about what's doing right in our communities to deal with the issues we have with health. It's not about the criminal justice system. This is about dealing with the health and wellness of our communities. And all 3 branches of government are working together. I do want to thank Sheila Polk. I've been able to work with her a lot on this. My Chief Deputy Dave Rhodes is working on this a lot. I have to work with my Board of Supervisors, Jack Smith. Thank you for all your support and everything on that. And again, I thank all the sheriffs. Fortunately, there's only 15 of us, but we are going to make a change in our jails. We're going to make a change in how to deal with this in incarceration on a local level. I want to thank all of you police chiefs that are here. David, I see you here. David McGill and his lovely wife. Great working with you on these things. It's a pleasure to see you here tonight. The outside providers, Taros, Spectrum, West Yavapai, all you folks, it's critical that we work together with you on mobile crisis. When we have our officers now trained to identify a mental health issue and we can call you outside providers to respond once it's stabilized and to take that over, they're not going to jail. They're going to get stabilized there and treated. That's very, very important. I want to thank Bea. She's here somewhere. I just saw. Oh, there she is. We stole her from somebody up in Flagstaff and put her to work on our program. So we're very happy to have Bay a part of the team and going to work. And I want to thank my staff too. Brian, Stephanie, Christy, you guys are here. Who am I missing? Mary. Thank you guys very much too. Working at the jail. That's tough working in the jails. For those of you who are in the jails, you know that is a tough environment to be in and to deal with these things. So thank you guys very much. And then one more person that's really important to me, and I met her 4 years ago. And I was talking about a jail tax, which is just a horrible thing to talk about and get support for. You know, jails are very needed, but nobody wants one around, and to try to pay for one's difficult. But I met a group of ladies who didn't want to talk a lot about a jail other than how we deal with mental wellness in the jail, and that's Audrey right over here. And it's been 4 years. It's been 4 years now, and we've seen a change. And we're seeing that by awarding people here tonight who deservingly should get awards and acknowledgement for what they're doing on our mental health issues. So, Audrey, God bless you. And she's a volunteer. She's doing it for free. So thank you very much. She works in our mental health unit in the jail, and what a tremendous job she does. So that's all I'm going to say. It's just thank all of you for being here. We can't do this unless we all work together on it. We're seeing a change. The tide is changing. We got to stay on it. We have to keep working on it. So God bless you all. Thank you very much, and congratulations on the awards. They're going to start here pretty quick. Oh, okay, I'll stay. I'm good. Okay.
And Major Cochran, do you mind coming along too? Just stand by Sheriff Masher. Thanks. So I thank you, Sheriff Masher. And if I would have just thought a minute more, I knew the part about you were a White River rafter and a pilot, right? So that was that bio that I didn't have, but quite a resume. But okay, so we're honored to have Major Cochran that's willing to stay here with us tonight and help us congratulate the award winners and Sheriff Masher. And I'm going to introduce our MC, and that is Kate Lawson. So Kate, if you would come on up. Kate was an award winner last year and is with the Pima County Attorney's Office. Always specialized in the mental health or intersection of mental health and criminal justice ever since I've known you. We used to run those meetings down there. We used to travel down to Tucson for. She has a master's degree in public administration from the University of Arizona, and you can see her full bio in our program. She currently is the director of the Drug Treatment Alternative to Prison program with the Pima County Attorney's Office, which has a tremendous record, and you'd be well advised to learn more about that program. So Kate, we thank you for being here and for taking on this job again this year, so I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, I think it's fine. And do you have the agenda, the schedule that was up here? I don't know, I put it right there. Maybe there's more than one. Oh, it's right there. Well, hello, everybody. How are you guys doing tonight? I could not believe they asked me to come back again after last year. If you guys didn't see me last year, there's a lot of pressure. All day long, people have been asking me if I've come up with new jokes. probably not knew enough. Mary Lou gave me lots of requirements, lots of things I had to do, but when she told me that I couldn't come up dressed as a flamingo, I had to put my foot down. Put my foot down, because it's a flamingo. Okay. I am very honored and privileged to be here again with you all. Thank you very much to Mary Lou for putting this whole event on and the entire planning committee. I have to say, Major Cochran, I have been a CIT groupie for about 10 years now, maybe a little bit longer. I've run the CIT program in Pima County for about 10 years, and I think I actually saw you at the CIT in Hartford, if I'm not mistaken. So I was delighted, like groupie level excited when I heard that you were going to be here this year. So thank you very much for coming. It was wonderful to see you again. So. All right, well, let's get this party on the show here. So when the award winners, when I call your name, go ahead and come on up, and I'm going to read off this lovely, lovely bio that Mary Lou actually writes herself, and she puts a lot of work into all of these, and they're beautifully done. When we are done, you'll take your picture up on the stage here with this wonderful crew and be able to be on your way. Feel free to come up and talk for a couple minutes if you would like to, but if you're not a talker up on stage, I totally get it. Neither am I. I'm terrible at it. All right, so let's get started. Up first, we've got Chief Brian Williamson. Please come on up. Chief Brian Williamson has taken an active role in improving the relationship between law enforcement and behavioral health providers in his region. Working with and reaching out to mental health providers, he has been an active participant in improving crisis response to individuals with mental disorders or experiencing a mental health crisis. One of many examples of great policing was demonstrated during a complex crisis situation involving a man who had barricaded himself and was shooting a gun. Chief Williamson had trained his officers previously to use the mental health crisis line when at all possible. This service had only recently been made available in his city. In this circumstance and others, Chief Williamson's expertise resulted in a situation which could have easily justified use of lethal force, being settled with no harm coming to either officers or the mentally disordered subject. Chief Williamson and his officers regularly began reaching out through the crisis line to area mental health providers. His commitment to increasing and strengthening linkages to the treatment service for people living with mental illness and addiction in his community effectively began a partnership between the police department and crisis response providers, which was averting jail in most circumstances. Under Chief Williamson's leadership, his department has formed a committee in which they have solicited involvement from local treatment providers to collaborate in creating a mental health policy for his team. This now ongoing committee continues to meet to ensure that the Bullhead City Police Department has the support and resources it needs to provide effective and timely response to individuals intersecting with local law enforcement. Chief Williamson continues to express publicly his appreciation for the regional crisis line, crisis mobile teams, and local providers. His leadership and the spirit of collaboration has increased the effectiveness of crisis services throughout his region. His recognition of the importance of partnering with mental health service providers to reduce incarceration and promote treatment for individuals living with mental disorders is making a difference in the lives of the community members he serves. David's Hope is honored to present Chief Brian Williamson with the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to receive this award. Although I want to take a couple minutes to kind of explain further. All of what you heard has happened in Bullhead City. But what you didn't hear is it all happened because I had someone visit my office one day, and it was Bea Thayer. And those of you who are in executive positions, you know oftentimes you have a lot of people visit, and a lot of people say they're going to do a lot for you, and then they leave and check a box that they reached out to local police chiefs and you never see them again. Bea did not do that. I knew we needed to get better. I kept running into brick walls and I didn't know where to go, and Bea showed up. And Bea told me, a lot of things, but the thing I remember is call me whenever you need me. And I'm like, okay. So the very first story you heard was that night, late at night. And what Bea doesn't know is I said, okay, let's see how this is going to work. And I called Bea. And everything else has happened because of that relationship. So I'm fortunate enough to receive the award, but sometimes in life, you get to become a vessel in someone else's mission to change the world. And Bea, you're well on your way. And thank you for involving me. Thank you for personally making Bullhead City a better place and the Bullhead City Police Department better. And it's because of you that we're where we're at today. And I will not look at this award as something we achieved. I will look at it as a reminder of all we have left to do. Thank you.
Hashtag Team Bea. I'm also a Bea groupie. May I please have Captain Don Bischoff, excuse me. Captain Don Bischoff of the Mojave County Sheriff's Office Detention Division has been a key figure in making Arizona an active partner in the Stepping Up initiative. He has shown his commitment to making the necessary changes to improve mental health services for inmates, to lessen their jail time, and to prevent them from ever reaching jail in the first place. He spoke with and assisted some of the last counties to sign on to the Stepping Up initiative, making Arizona the first state in the nation to have 100% of its counties participating in Stepping Up. In this time of small and stagnant budgets, his innovative thinking sparked the paradigm shift needed to utilize staff in more creative and efficient ways. In order to better serve inmates with mental health needs, he's utilized officers to assist with the mental health activities taking place during the regular work week, created part-time mental health position, and transitioned to a telemedicine model of delivery for those inmates needing psychiatry services. Another population he has made a difference with is juveniles, exploring ways to keep them from being housed in the jail. He is a powerful advocate and has not only served on local committee to study the possibility of establishing a mental health court at the Superior Court level, but has also been active in ongoing planning with the Regional Behavioral Health Authority to gain funding for a coordinator position in the jail that would screen prisoners for needs relating to substance use and mental health services. Captain Bischoff is an expert at networking, sharing, and developing resources and reaching out to other professionals not only in Arizona but across the country, from Rikers Island to the U.S. territory of Guam. He is an inspiration because he looks at what others may consider failures as an opportunity to try and improve. He remains focused and continues to challenge others to help forge ahead. David's Hope is honored to present Captain Don Bischoff with the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award.
Well, I didn't know I was going to have to speak, and I didn't know that I did all these things. I often say that sometimes to see the progress that we've made, we have to look back. I know that when Sheriff Sheehan appointed me as his jail commander 5 years ago, one of the meetings I had with him before he left is my frustration that I didn't feel I was getting anything accomplished. And I think he referred to me as an idiot if I thought that I was going to change the mess that I'd walked into overnight. And one of the things that I told him is that at my point in my career, I needed new challenges, and I thought that maybe there would be some new challenges in the jail, and he assured me that I had no idea the challenges that I'd face. Like those before me, and I'm sure that will come after, I accept this on behalf of my staff. It's easy for me to say this is what we're going to do, but they have to figure out how to do it. Mental health is a problem in our jails, and I think that we are seeing a shift. And I look to my friends and colleagues with Yavapai County, with Pima County, and Maricopa County. I know that they're here, and I think I always say several things. One, it's not what you know, it's who you know. There are people that have addressed the problems that we face and have figured out how to do it, how not to do it. So if I can not reinvent the wheel and just maybe tweak the spokes a little bit, that's best. One of the things that I heard in one of the meetings with Mary Lou is somebody said that we can make change today. We can. It may be small, but it's change, and we have to start someplace. And I truly am honored with this recognition, but it's for my entire agency. So thank you very much, and thank you for all the work that you all do.
Oh, I understand that sentiment. I also try to escape the pictures. You know, I was recently told that I was colorblind, but man, that diagnosis came out of the clear purple. I know. I only know bad jokes. I don't know any good jokes. May I please have Deputy Ashley Campbell up to the stage? Deputy Campbell is with the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Campbell responded to a client who had been in the emergency room earlier in the day due to paranoia, but the client had refused any help. Within several hours after being discharged from the emergency room, Deputy Campbell received a call that this same client had become very aggressive and had been attempting to walk into traffic. Upon Deputy Campbell's arriving on scene, the client became verbally and physically abusive. Upon transport to the emergency room, the client remained aggressive and became extremely psychotic. Deputy Campbell remained patient and tolerant of the wild, uncontrollable behavior exhibited by the subject. During transport and upon arrival at the hospital, Deputy Campbell demonstrated great skill in de-escalation and continued to remain with the patient until they were settled into the emergency room observation unit. Another demonstration of excellence in service by Deputy Campbell was evident when she responded to a crisis scene for a subject with a previous history of violence resulting in an arrest. Deputy Campbell, being first on scene, found the client to be very intoxicated and making threats of suicide to his mother and sister. Deputy Campbell stayed with the subject for over an hour while the crisis team was unable to make any headway in gaining cooperation with the subject. The situation was very volatile upon arrival of Deputy Campbell to the scene. Consideration of involuntary evaluation appeared to be a possibility, being the only viable option. The client was insulting and belligerent to Deputy Campbell and others on scene. Deputy Campbell, during the crisis, responded only with compassionate attitude, even trying to lift the spirit of the man and the situation with humor. The effort by Officer Deputy Campbell and the crisis staff on scene remained focused on encouraging voluntary entry into the treatment of the subject. As time passed, Deputy Campbell's outstanding communication and de-escalation skills with the support of crisis staff developed an atmosphere that eventually helped to transform the subject's attitude and demeanor. The subject began to soften his resistance and eventually agreed to be transported to the local emergency department by family members with the support of Deputy Campbell. David's Hope is honored to present Deputy Ashley Campbell with the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award.
I just want to say thank you, and I'm honored to accept this award. I'm not even going to try to speak for all these wonderful things that this lady has said to me and about me, but however, I just want to give thanks to my community and to the sheriff. He does a great job as well, and to all my other deputies that I work with. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here today. Thank you, guys.
Have you guys gone on any vacations this summer? It's like you know where I'm going with this. I went camping. I have a 4 and a 7-year-old, and you know what they say about camping? It's intense. Intense. That's good. I got the sheriff to laugh. I'll check that off. All right, may I please have Lieutenant Swede Carlson with the Gila County Sheriff's Department up to the stage. Lieutenant Carlson's dedication and compassion to help patients who are in the jail system and have mental health disorders is inspiring. Lieutenant Carlson works tirelessly with the behavioral health agencies when their members are incarcerated to coordinate services and act as a direct liaison between the county and the health homes. He readily gives treatment providers his direct cell number. He has challenged all providers to call him directly so he can assist them to coordinate with their members. Lieutenant Carlson's dedication to the idea that jail is not the appropriate placement for people suffering with mental health issues has led the formation of the Gila County Behavioral Health and Criminal Justice Committee, of which Lieutenant Carlson is the co-facilitator. One of the first accomplishments of this committee was the creation of a process that streamlines crisis and care coordination for incarcerated individuals among the county's crisis mobile teams, behavioral health homes, and detention officers. Lieutenant Carlson's dedication has also influenced his community's court system, other law enforcement agencies, and service providers to believe that appropriate intervention and diversion is possible when multidisciplinary stakeholders continue to meet and problem solve. He takes every individual and their story seriously. He advocates for the welfare of people in his care and his community, and has influenced community stakeholders to become partners, to expand ideas and processes with the goal of reducing incarceration of people living with mental illness. Lieutenant Carlson will happily provide anyone a tour of his jail. When you come to the end and he walks you into the isolation cell used to detain people in an acute crisis, his eyes water up, and you know with certainty that he is an agent of change to be taken seriously. David's Hope is honored to present the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award to Lieutenant Swede Carlson.
Wow. I'm not sure I can live up to all that. I'll make this short. I'd really like to thank my sheriff, Sheriff Adam Shepard of Gila County, and the Board of Supervisors for expanding our mental health resources. They've been working very, very hard. I've been with Gila County for a very long time. And as you know, Gila County has been rather short on resources, but that's changed in the last few years, and I'm really looking forward to the change. And thank you, Bea. We all have a connection with Bea. So I want to thank you very much for this. Thank you.
May I please have Officer Mark Ryan, Officer Marissa Dowhan, and Sergeant Mylan Luker. Sorry. From the Phoenix Police Department. In October 2017, these officers responded to a call from a man who had called 911 and told dispatch he had a knife to his throat and wanted police to kill him. The officer responded to the scene, quickly formulated a safety plan, and began trying to talk to the man who was holding a knife to his neck. In this very stressful situation, Officer Lubker was able to coax a dialogue with the man. Officer Lubker told him that they were not there to hurt him, and the man replied coldly, "No, you're not." Officer Lubker told the man to stop, put the knife down, and he replied, "I'm not going to." The man was stone-faced and largely unresponsive. He had a knife and he continued to walk towards the officers. It was amazing that Officer Lubker was able to remain calm and establish any kind of dialogue. The man continued to walk toward the officers, so Sergeant Ryan, then Officer Ryan, gave the order, and Officer Dowhan deployed the stun bag and struck the man 2 times in the midsection. The man sat down. He still had the knife and was on the phone with 911. Officer Lubker convinced the man to put down the phone, then the knife, and then to surrender to the officers. The man was upset and told Officer Lubker, "You guys should have shot me. I wanted to die." After a few more minutes of conversation, the man began to explain his troubles and feelings of being used by his previous wife and his friends. These officers were able to take the man to the psychiatric urgent care center for treatment. This was an amazing outcome to a very dangerous and chaotic situation. These outstanding officers maintained their safety and the safety of the community, but took the time to reach out to someone in pain. Rather than shouting commands, which would have been understandable, they recognized that a different approach was needed. Using their exceptional communication skills and other tools, they avoided unnecessary harm to the subject. Even though the situation had all the makings of a tragedy, with a man in crisis who was determined to harm himself, the compassion and exemplary service of these officers kept him safe and saved his life. David's Hope is honored to present Sergeant Mark Ryan, Officer Marissa Dowhan, and Officer Mylan Lebker, each with a 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award.
We were having a debate of who was going to have to talk. I'd said earlier, I think to one or two people, this is very much appreciated because I think at this moment we appreciate you guys. We appreciate your organizations, what you guys represent. To take a moment out of what y'all are doing and I guess give a little bit of recognition to some of the small things we do on the street that sometimes people don't see or understand. This was a step and a half away from us probably shooting this individual, and it was due to some previous training and large communication to set up a plan, and that probably has a lot to do with the Phoenix Police Department instituting a lot of CIT programs, advanced CIT, additional training for lesser uses of force to be able to stop a bad day from being a terrible day. And that's what this was one step away from being a terrible day. So I appreciate you guys taking the time out to recognize that there's other things going on, that we are trying to mitigate things and to keep things down at the lowest level. So thank you for all you guys do and giving us this opportunity to spend an evening with y'all.
May I please have Deputy Brandon Ellerby with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department up to the stage. So I mentioned I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old boys, and I saw a sign that said, "Watch for children," and I thought that sounded like a fair trade. Deputy Ellerby volunteered for and completed CIT training in 2017. Deputy Ellerby has demonstrated excellence in the performance of his duties, specifically in recognizing calls when it is beneficial for the client to receive mental health treatment rather than incarceration. He has skillfully learned and used the process of filing petitions for quarter mental health evaluations and taking a leading role in responding to dozens of calls for service to Maricopa County Sheriff's Department in which mental health is a factor. These calls include suicide attempts, incorrigible juveniles, and welfare checks requiring crisis intervention. Deputy Ellerby has assisted numerous individuals to receive needed behavioral health care through his participation in providing critical testimony required during the process of Title 36 hearings. One incident stands out, which occurred when the FBI contacted MCSO about a man who was presented as suicidal and was demanding to speak with the county attorney. When deputies arrived to the scene, the man was uncooperative. Deputy Ellerby was requested to the scene and was able to create a dialogue during which the man revealed he was responsible for a domestic violence incident in which he was the victim and his girlfriend was charged. He then opened up about plans to kill himself and even about plans to drive his car through a plaza. Based on this and the man's unwillingness to seek help on his own, Deputy Ellerby was able to successfully obtain an order for mental health evaluation and transported to a crisis facility. A crisis team had also been called out, and after they arrived, they determined that Deputy Ellerby had already taken all the steps necessary and left him to handle the rest of the call. Deputy Ellerby has shown outstanding service, leadership, and skill in responding to individuals experiencing mental health crisis. He has been recognized by the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office as a great asset to their organization, and he continues to update his training at every opportunity. David's Hope is honored to present Deputy Brandon Ellerby with the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award.
I'd like to say thank you, and I'm honored to receive this. I'd also like to thank my wife, Megan, and for Sergeant Pierce to come out and support me. So this award, even though I'm receiving it, this actually goes out to all the deputies that were on scene with me during those calls for service, and all the ones that are striving to learn more on how to do what you guys do and do what we do, and try to be out there to help out the community. So thank you very much.
May I please have Officer Kevin Hudspeth from the Sedona Police Department? If I have butchered anybody's names tonight, I'm sorry. Mary Lou even tries to help me out, and I'm still incorrigible. So. Close enough. Circles are pointless. Literally. Officer Hudspeth has shown outstanding leadership and service in providing support to individuals in the Sedona area who are homeless or transients and are living in the forest that surrounds the city of Sedona. With almost daily encounters between Sedona officers and those homeless persons living with mental health challenges, Officer Hudspeth has been instrumental in working to create linkages to mental health support and support services for this less fortunate population. The challenge in Sedona often looms in large that this is the northern Arizona region lacks many of the supports that can be found in more populated regions. Sedona officers face obstacles in the amount of travel required to transport individuals in need of available services, especially crisis facilities. In order to create solutions to these ongoing challenges, Officer Hudspeth has taken a leadership role in planning community outreach efforts and bringing together community partners, including providers of special services to veterans, such as Catholic Charities, also Spectrum Healthcare, Sedona Fire, and the National Forest Service, and others. Taking on the challenge of enforcing local ordinances prohibiting many of the daily activities of daily living of the homeless, while finding ways to support those living in the forest suffering with mental disorders, addictions, homelessness, and despair, is a daily routine for members of the Sedona Police Department. With the support of the Sedona Police Chief David McGill, Officer Hudspeth has overseen a broad effort by the department to reduce the number of arrests these homeless persons experience for their technical violations of city ordinances. In the operations led by Officer Hudspeth, who himself is a veteran, a great effort has been made to support veterans, many with PTSD issues. His work is impacting many who are living life in the shadows and struggling to overcome mental disorders and a myriad of negative issues standing in the way of their recovery. His focus in working towards successful long-term outcomes by connecting persons with mental health challenges to appropriate services is changing the culture in Sedona and saving lives of the voiceless. David's Hope is honored to present the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award to Officer Kevin Hudspeth.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the honor. As the list was being read there, I was kind of wondering who's up, who's. So anyways, I want to thank my chief, David McGill, for apparently writing this up and having me recognized for this. I'd also like to thank Sheriff Masher and Sheriff Driscoll back there. I've worked with both of them, jails and other places, and it's like felt at home here because there's a lot of faces here that I've worked with before. I would like to thank Mary Lou and David. I don't know where he ran off to, but you guys are doing some great work, and I appreciate you guys. And that's all I really have to do, but everybody that got one of these today, keep up the good work.
Thank you. And we're going to get your picture.
May I have Sergeant Justin Hughes? Oh, come over there. With the Goodyear Police Department. Sergeant Justin Hughes demonstrates excellence in the work he does every day as part of the West Valley Crisis Intervention Team Coalition. He has been a critical creator and builder of the successful development of their ongoing crisis intervention team trainings. His dedication to creating high standards and a professional training experience for officers who participate in the West Valley CIT Coalition has been an important factor in making the work of the coalition highly effective and a great benefit to all of its trainees and participants. Sergeant Hughes is a driving force within the thriving West Valley CIT Coalition, the core of which consists of 9 West Valley city agencies and the FBI. Sergeant Hughes' consistent high-level contributions to these 10 law enforcement agencies are especially significant since CIT is not his primary duty. His contributions began in assisting with CIT trainings for the Central Valley CIT Coalition. His support to the Central Valley program included sending CIT-trained officers to assist with evaluation during practical scenarios. Before the West Valley CIT Coalition started in its training, Justin arranged for mental health training for the City of Goodyear police officers. Sergeant Hughes created a partnership with the West Valley Hospital System to train emergency department staff to more appropriately respond to those in a behavioral health crisis by relying on the crisis and behavioral health system for supports and allowing CIT-trained officers to help. Now, due to his work, people in the behavioral health crisis are far more likely to be diverted from going to jail or to the ER and are brought to where they will receive the most appropriate level of care. Sergeant Hughes has demonstrated a strong, long-term commitment to his police department, his city, and the entire Maricopa County community, as he works to strengthen the relationship between law enforcement and the behavioral health community, thereby significantly increasing the likelihood of a person receiving care when their behavioral health crisis intersects at the crossroads of the criminal justice and mental health systems. David's Hope is honored to present Sergeant Justin Hughes with the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Awards.
So Kate mentioned that my primary role is not CIT, it's not. I am the IA supervisor. I know I hear the grumbles already. So when I got the invitation, I thought this was some big joke where someone's pulling me in here and my body's gonna be like buried in Tempe somewhere. What I wanna do real quick, this is awesome. I'm not sure who wrote this, but to me, this award is much bigger than me. And there's 2 people in the room, so I want everyone to stop looking at me for a minute. And if you'll look in that back corner, if Tanisha, I see you're shaking your head no, but if Tanisha and Frank would stand up for a minute, please. So if you work in the mental health field, you know Tanisha. For some of you, she probably signed your check. But for us, she is, the 2 of them combined are the backbone behind the West Valley CIT program. I'm the brain behind it, which is a little bit more important than the backbone, but either way, our cooperative effort has been great. We started in January of 2017, and as of the end of next month, we have trained over 250 officers. Thank you, Sam. I can tell you, can speak for Goodyear alone. In 2015, we had a handful of officers that were CIT trained. The end of next month, 60% of our department are trained. And these are not officers that are voluntold to go to training. These are officers that truly care and are passionate and want to go to the training. 3 years ago, we did 3 to 5 to 10 petitions a year. Petitions being either voluntary drop-offs to a mental health facility or involuntary petitions. All those other individuals were either ending up in jail or in a hospital where they didn't belong. Right now, we average 20 a month. I'm horrible at math, so I can't tell you what that percentage is, but it's significant. I did bring my daughter here with me tonight. Emma, you can stand up real quick, because I'm going to embarrass you, because that's what dads do. Stand up. And the reason why I brought her is because a lot of people ask, well, what is your motivation? Because I was that officer because I have almost 18 years in, and a significant majority of my career was, I want to chase the bad guy, I want to have fun. You know, I didn't get into this line of work to be a social worker or a counselor, but I've learned so much. You know, as a parent, you want to be the one that's teaching your children and mentoring them. But I have 3 daughters. Emma's my oldest, and I've learned so much from them through, their compassion and human kindness, and it's really them that have shown me the important things. And so that's why I brought my daughter, because I wanted her to know that. So thank you for this award. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sergeant Hughes. May I have Officer David Jansen of the Scottsdale Police Department? What's the best thing about living in Switzerland? I don't know, but their flag is a big plus. Officer David Jansen is a seasoned police officer with the Scottsdale Police Department who completed CIT school in 2014. He has been described by his fellow officers as calm, patient, and adept at de-escalating situations that otherwise could become volatile. His colleagues have stated that he has a passion for helping individuals and family members experiencing a mental health crisis. They consider him to be the go-to officer when there is a complicated issue that has resulted in multiple calls for service at the same address. He is dedicated to learning new knowledge to enhance his skills and elevate his profession. He values voluntary, continuing educational opportunities, gives back by volunteering and being involved in on different levels with different organizations. He has worked with individuals with disabilities in order to improve crisis response services and regularly volunteers with crisis intervention training schools, both as an actor and an evaluator. Other officers have said that his valuable feedback as provided to them has helped maximize the benefits of their training. Officer Jansen understands the value of collaboration and follow-up as tools to improve outcomes for families dealing with mental health issues and always makes a practice of communicating with case managers, site staff, and family members. He frequently works with patrol supervisors and police crisis intervention specialists within the Scottsdale Police Department since his primary goal is to always facilitate a safe and compassionate resolution for people caught in the middle of a mental health crisis. One of his most outstanding accomplishments was when Officer Jansen encountered a young man with his mental illness who had created more than 50 calls for service at his home from January to August. This individual had 4 mental health pickup orders on him that same year and had most recently threatened to kill officers that came to his residence to remove him. Utilizing police crisis intervention specialists at Scottsdale PD and coordinating with the young man's case manager, clinic staff, and parents, Officer Jansen was able to see this young man safely detained and transported for mental health evaluation and treatment. David's Hope is honored to present Officer David Jansen with the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award.
Thank you. I'm honored to receive this award. I'd like to thank Tracy Wilkinson from the Scottsdale Police PCIS for the nomination and the write-up. It's very nice. And for Commander Bruce Cioli for being here to support me tonight. Thank you. The incident that was mentioned in there was a small victory, and I've been doing this job a long time, and you learn to appreciate the small victories. And I think the one person that wasn't mentioned in there was the father of that young man that worked with us to have that scenario end anticlimactically, thankfully, and a safe ending to it. So I'd like to thank David's Hope also for this nomination and the award. I appreciate it. Thank you.
May I please have Sergeant Ben Scott of the Prescott Police Department and Deputy Ethan Stover of the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office. He said he just got my colorblind joke. Because it's normally out of the blue. Sergeant Ben Scott and Deputy Ethan Stover have taken on the challenge and responsibility of first attending crisis intervention team training and then together developing and teaching crisis intervention team training to patrol officers and first responders from multiple agencies across Yavapai County. The training provided throughout this partnership has provided first responders with the tools needed to safely work with people suffering with mental disorders or experiencing a mental health crisis. The training is regionally specific and teaches Yavapai County first responders what resources can be accessed in their local area to link people in crisis with mental health treatment providers and support services. Sergeant Scott and Deputy Stover are both experienced officers and have street credibility with their peers. As instructors, their approach lends to a relaxed and inviting atmosphere for interactive learning. Together, they have taught over 75 professionals from both law enforcement and mental health providers, and the numbers continue to grow. Through their efforts, responders are equipped with tools they can utilize to create linkages to service with mental health service providers and help people gain access to the treatment they need. The outcome of this program has created and improved mental health crisis response in Yavapai County through building collaborative relationships between responders and providers of mental health treatment in the region. With the support of the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office and the Prescott Police Department, the program has created a culture-changing impact on crisis response across multiple law enforcement agencies and will continue to develop as a critical link and building block of the Yavapai County Mental Health Coalition. The dedication, skill, and leadership of Sergeant Scott and Deputy Stover have made all the difference in reaching the goal in their effort to decriminalize mental illness. David's Hope is honored to present Sergeant Ben Scott and Deputy Ethan Stover each with the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award.
We'll talk at the same time. No. This is just proof that the Sheriff's Office and PD can work together. We can be friends, so let's keep that in mind. No, we just want to. This is very appreciated. We thank you guys very much. The culture is changing. There's a lot of officers and deputies that are coming out of academies that are wanting to know about mental health. It didn't used to be like that, so it is changing. Deputy Ashley Campbell over there, who won the award earlier, she hasn't even been through our CIT training, and she's able to do those kinds of things. So I asked her if she wants to come in October, and she said yes, but she doesn't know if she can get off the schedule to come. And I said, you know, there's a couple people in this room right now that could have some sway of her getting off the schedule to come to CIT training. Chief Rhodes, Sheriff Masher. So take advantage of those opportunities. That's the first lesson. Thank you very much. Do you want to say?
That's Ethan not having anything to say, just so you guys know. But I do want to say thanks. I think I've been in this job for a long time, and from when I first started in Yavapai County till now, the resources and the teamwork are fantastic. It's awesome to work with our county attorney and our sheriff and our chief, and thanks LT for coming down, but thank you very much. And I just got another one of your jokes just now, so keep up the good work. Thank you.
We'll get your picture.
This is my favorite name of the whole night. May I please have Officer Rowdy Scott? Is that your real name? I love it. I'm super bummed I've already changed my kid, or I've already named my kids, but it's not too late to change. It's not too late to have a Rowdy. Officer Rowdy is with the City of Cottonwood Police Department. Officer Rowdy Scott responded to a call around midnight in June 2018 involving a veteran who had called the VA crisis line in distress, stating a plan and intent to kill himself. This veteran had also texted his girlfriend the same message, however, she had not seen the text. The VA hotline called Cottonwood PD to the scene. The man had planned to commit suicide by carbon monoxide and was evident by the presence on scene of the generator full of gas in the home. The man had been drinking. His plan was to pass out and not wake up. The client had tried to end his life this way twice before in the past 2 weeks in his truck. Officer Scott was able to convince this distraught veteran to stop his suicide attempt and waited with him for a behavioral health crisis team to arrive. The man then refused to go to the hospital, stating there's no way that anyone could fix him or ever help him to be happy, so it was all a waste of time. A crisis counselor who was a member of the local crisis mobile team was now on scene and began working with the man. The clinician worked with the veteran for over an hour, during which time Officer Scott assisted in convincing him to go to the emergency room. About a week later, the veteran was released from the hospital. In follow-up treatment with his mental health treatment provider, he stated, "Officer Scott and those 2 others saved my life." He thanked all involved for their persistence and stated that his life was much better now and that it meant everything to him to know that there were people who cared. Officer Scott frequently responds on scene with crisis mobile teams in the city of Cottonwood, often working with subjects who are verbally abusive and at times physically aggressive. Per local crisis workers, Officer Scott always demonstrates tolerance, patience, and support towards individuals experiencing a mental health crisis. David's Hope is honored to present Officer Rowdy Scott the 2018 Crisis Response Officer of Distinction Award.
I'd like to say thank you to Mary Lou and to David. I don't know where he went. I saw him at the back earlier. I'd like to say thank you. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it. I'd also like to say thank you just to everybody in the room. I know that Spectrum officers get called all the time to answer questions and to resolve situations, and up till now, taking people to jail was not a great solution. So in a world that calls police officers, I just recognized you, for answers and solutions, Spectrum, for Cottonwood at least, and a lot of you out there right now, are the backup to officers that don't have a better solution. So thank you.
May I please have Yavapai County Attorney Sheila Polk to the stage. And this is the beginning of the Judicial Awards. You know, I have to say, before I get started with this lovely nomination here, I've been working for Pima County Attorney Barbara Lawal for the past 3 years. I think maybe the first day on the job, I heard about how awesome Sheila Polk was. And that's been an ongoing adoration in our office for my whole time in the last 3 years. So you're well-loved in Pima County, Sheila. In November of 2000, Sheila Polk became the first woman to be elected to the position of Yavapai County Attorney and is currently serving her 5th term. Sheila Polk has been an outstanding leader in efforts to support Yavapai County's Stepping Up initiative work and the decriminalization of mental illness. She states Yavapai County has traveled a long and important journey towards decriminalization of mental illness along with the rest of our country. I'm very proud of the role that I have been able to play in efforts to recognize mental illness and divert those suffering from jail into services. I know all too well that once a person with mental illness enters a jail, a series of inevitable consequences will occur, much like the cascade of falling dominoes. Yavapai County is fortunate to have so many community collaborators who are truly focused on improving our criminal justice system, and I'm merely one of those partners. It is undeniable that a person suffering from mental health crisis is more likely to encounter law enforcement than to get medical health care. That is why they are working so hard to create change. To that end, I have partnered with the sheriff and other community partners to 1, train law enforcement officers on mental health and crisis de-escalation. 2, support diversion prior to arrest through crisis mobile intervention teams who respond to critical incidents and connect to services through our crisis stabilization unit. 3, for those who are incarcerated to identify mental health and substance use disorders at the earliest opportunity to link individuals to care. And 4, partner with our courts for the creation of a mental health court. These are not my accomplishments, but those of the sheriff, our community behavioral health providers, and our courts that I have tried to support in every way possible with funding when available and with legal support where we can. Yavapai County Attorney Sheila Polk has been so impressed with the jail's new Reach Out program that she helped fund it with money appropriated by the state legislator to her office for pretrial diversion programs in the amount of $224,290. Sheila Polk is truly a leader and a collaborator whose tireless efforts are paving the way for Yavapai County and our state to continue to fulfill the mission of stepping up. David's Hope is honored to present Yavapai County Attorney Sheila Polk with the 2018 Judicial Officer Mental Health Criminal Justice Collaboration Award.
Thank you. Thank you. Truly, in Yavapai County, wonderful things are happening, but it's under the leadership of our sheriff, Scott Masher, and his chief deputy, Dave Rhodes. I am honored to be part of a team of incredible people who are focused on decriminalizing mental illness. For those of you who are coming tomorrow morning, you'll get a chance to hear a lot more about the wonderful things that are happening in Yavapai County. But for tonight, thank you. This award means a lot to me, so thank you very much.
If you guys didn't hear that, Major Cochran made a really funny joke. He said she dropped the mic. May I please have the Honorable Susan Shetter of Tucson City Court up to the stage. Judge Susan Shetter has been and continues to be one of the most tireless advocates for individuals with mental illness, recovery, and justice system reform in Tucson. She respects and understands the value of taking the time to get to know the culture and clients before proceeding with their case. She is a perfect balance of accountability, compassion, tenacity, and mindful consideration. In addition to her mental health court docket, Judge Shetter is always the first to volunteer for a task force, committee, or to attend or coordinate trainings. She is willing to help in any way she can to foster change in the community. She participates in the Behavioral Health Treatment Court Collaboration, the Tucson Homeless Planning Council, and is assisting with the development of a regional consolidated problem-solving court, as well as many other initiatives. She solicits feedback continuously and is always looking for or generating her new ideas. In addition to her work with clients, she is well known and respected for her role as a mentor. She inspires everyone she works with and is always available to them to support, advice, or on occasion, an impassioned pep talk. I love her pep talks. They're seriously the best. She loves to remind everyone of the positive difference they stand to make in the lives of people they are serving. She brings the best of herself every day to court, and it has been said that she is a living representation of character and integrity in the legal system. In 2017, Judge Shetter was appointed as a member of the Arizona Supreme Court's Fair Justice Task Force Mental Health and Criminal Justice Subcommittee. And I was supposed to add a little bit extra here, but I wanted to talk from the heart. I have known Judge Shetter for like 15 years now. She has been a very dear friend and mentor, and I've been working on creating this regional court basically around her passion and dedication. She has the most incredible therapeutic jurisprudence I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of judges. I spent a lot of hours in a courtroom. And seeing her work with our defendants is absolutely life-altering. I don't know how many people I brought into her court because I know that if they can just watch Judge Shetter for a couple of minutes and see the way that she interacts with our clients, that their minds about how mental health courts work and what type of a difference they can make in somebody's life will change too. So she is a very dear friend, and I'm very honored that she's up here. Okay, so David's Hope is honored to present Judge Shetter with the 2018 Judicial Officer Mental Health Criminal Justice Collaboration Award.
Well,
we talk about mentoring. You know, Kate is, she's younger than my daughter, and yet I think of Kate as my mentor because in the 15 years that I've known Kate, I've learned so much from her, and she actually has mentored me. You know, one of the things I wanted to say is in 1914, Robert Frost wrote, "Home is the place where when you have to go there, they have to take you in." And for too many of our vulnerable populations, home is our county jail. He wrote that, I always cry whenever I read that poem. He wrote that in Death of a Hired Man. And one of the things that he said about the hired man was that he was a person with no hope for the future. And so I really want to thank all of you who are giving our vulnerable populations hope for the future. Every third Friday in our mental health court, we have a graduation. And a couple of things that we do in our graduation. And one of the things that we do is to acknowledge the fact that nobody is successful. These are people who are going to graduate. They're going to get their charges dismissed. Nobody is successful on their own. And all of you have contributed and helped to the success of this vulnerable population. I want to thank my team. I want to thank Kate. I'm so honored to have this award. But I also want to thank the defendants who show up, because as I say to them, if they weren't successful, we wouldn't be successful. We wouldn't have a program. And then I also, one of the things that we always do is to applaud ourselves, applaud the population, because if you all weren't successful, we wouldn't be successful. So I want you all to applaud yourselves and pat yourself on the back. A loud applause. Now, come on, guys.
Dang it, I was all proud that I got through her speech without crying, and then she goes and makes me cry. Yes, I want to.
Come on,
Yes, yes, yes. So honored. Thank you so much.
Isn't she adorable? She's cute like that all the time. Except when she's mad, and then it's even more adorable. May I please have the Honorable John Napper of the Yavapai County Superior Court. Judge John Napper was appointed to the Yavapai County Superior Court in 2016 as a judge pro tem. In August 2017, Governor Ducey stated John's extensive experience in criminal law, in addition to the management and judicial responsibilities he currently has, makes him an excellent candidate for the vacancy of Superior Court. John is widely respected in the community and is known for his willingness to collaborate with all parties involved in legal matters in order to best protect the public interest. His commitment to vulnerable Arizonans, including his work on drug abuse and addiction, has not gone unnoticed. I am proud to appoint John to the Yavapai County Superior Court. Prior to taking the bench, John Napper realized the negative impact of long time periods that people with mental illness were spending incarcerated while waiting for the disposition of their case. As the public defender, he recalls that his office would get a police report after police report where officers would show up at the scene dealing with someone who, if you don't have specific training for, is unmanageable, and they would end up in a scuffle. These people would often end up getting charged for assaulting a police officer. John Napper understood one of the solutions to this problem was the creation of a post-arrest diversion program. He offered himself and his office up to create a new process with the goal of diverting people with mental health and substance use issues from further involvement in the justice system. John Napper understood that he had an end purpose for inmates with end trial environment to gain access to a system of support for treatment and services upon release, thus helping to break the cycle of recidivism, which lowers crime rates, making communities safer. Judge Napper holds a unique philosophy that when people are in positions, they have the ability to make real change at what could be some cost to them. They decide, keep up the status quo or do what they believe is the right thing. For him, the choice was not a difficult one. Doing the right thing for the greater good is always the way to go. David's Hope is honored to present the 2018 Judicial Officer Mental Health Criminal Justice Collaboration Award to Judge John Napper.
I'd like to take a minute to just remember two people. One is my grandmother on my mother's side, who said, boy, your duty and obligation every day is try to make the world a little bit of a better place than the way you found it. So, and the other is Ruth Ann Cooner, who we lost, who she had originally been in the Texas State Hospital in the late 1950s. And she came out a different woman, and she was a wonderful woman, and the woman that I knew was not the woman that she had originally been. But as Major Cochran said, it's personal, and it is personal for me. And I just wanted to bring those two women up because they were both profound people in my life and important to me, and anything I can do in any small way to make the world a little bit of a better place, I'm going to try to do it. And we've got a great team in Yavapai County, and I'm lucky and privileged and honored to be a part of it. And we are slowly but surely finding the better angels of our nature. So, thank you all very much.
You see how this works, right?
All right, now we're in our final three awards. This is the Community Member Mental Health Criminal Justice Collaboration Award. May I please have Chief Rhodes up accepting the award for April Rhodes. So this is for April Rhodes with Spectrum Healthcare. April Rhodes serves as CEO of Spectrum Healthcare in the city of Cottonwood, asking the question, why isn't mental health a part of the routine healthcare discussions? Why is it that we wait until a serious problem arises to talk about it? April wants to change that by making it a part of the conversation started at birth. With this in mind, April Rhodes made the mission at Spectrum to endeavor to make whole health the rule, not the exception. April is a leader in advocacy, working to improve outcomes at the intersection of mental health and criminal justice systems on a local level and beyond. Developing a program that joins first responders and law enforcement with behavioral health experts, April has brought together leaders in the behavioral health, law enforcement, jail staff, judges to create policy which improves how persons with mental illness issues are treated in jail and supported as they re-enter the community upon their release. Success is often viewed as crossing the finish line. But to April, it is also measured by the strength of a team that makes a difference every day. Spectrum's mobile crisis team is an example. Knowing that mental illness is not a crime, April is the driving force in the development of Spectrum's mobile crisis team. Working in partnership with law enforcement and first responders, Mobile Crisis is now on call 24/7 and covers a vast geographic territory in a region that previously had no mobile crisis response teams. When first responders in Arizona's Verde Valley arrive on scene to find a person in mental health crisis, they can now contact Spectrum's crisis mobile team to assess the situation and work to reroute the individual away from jail or the ER and into treatment. Since its inception, the Crisis Mobile team supports now being able to stabilize 70% of their calls in the community, freeing up resources for first responders. Under April's direction, resources in a vast rural region are being maximized. Her passion for the whole healthcare and keeping people with mental illness out of jail is changing the landscape of the Verde Valley. Her leadership supporting post-arrest diversion to treatment is part of the whole health continuum of care, for which she is a tireless crusader. Working to end the stigma attached to mental illness, promoting whole health plays a large role in the goal. While the healthcare field is always changing, April believes the best investment is in people, whose need for quality healthcare never changes. David's Hope is honored to present the Community Member 2018 Mental Health Criminal Justice Collaboration Award to April Rhodes. Accepting her award this evening is April's husband, David Rhodes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, April could not be here tonight. For those of you who know her, would not be shocked to hear that she's in school pursuing an MBA now, on top of everything else that she's doing. So you'll have to get by with me. One thing, if April was here accepting this award, she would talk about everybody else. She would talk about the people that are on the mobile crisis team. She'd talk about law enforcement. She'd talk about the therapists that answer the call in the middle of the night. She would talk about all the community partnerships, and she would talk about what everybody else is doing. But she would not talk about herself, and so I'm going to do that just a little bit. I'm going to tell you that April approaches everything with clear eyes, full heart. She's a very hard worker, very tireless. She tells her people, and I hear her on the phone in the middle of the night when they're calling her, to find the yes. When it comes to access to care, when it comes to doing the right thing, find the yes. That's what she tells them. We'll work out the details later. And so there's probably nobody that I know of that's more deserving of this recognition. We appreciate very much. Thank you.
May I please have Arthur Jackson and Terry McDermott up to the stage. So I took my kids to the zoo, and they had some toast in a cage. And I asked the zookeeper what that was about, and he said it was bred in captivity. Because it was toast in a cage. I like that one. Arthur Jackson and Terry McDermott are being recognized for outstanding leadership and advocacy efforts to reduce incarceration of people with mental health and addiction disorders. For many years, Arthur and Terry have been a team, McDermott and Jackson, at the crisis intervention team training sessions that involved NAMI Valley of the Sun. When Arthur first became active with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, he was referred to as Mr. NAMI. People who were just getting to know him may have wondered why, but soon realized that the nickname was well earned because Arthur was at almost every NAMI event, whether it was NAMI AZ, NAMI Phoenix, or any other affiliate. He was there to answer questions and speak to anyone that needed support. Arthur has always shared freely that he has lived with mental illness and other issues, and because of that, had gone to jail. Terry and Arthur are dedicated to bringing the knowledge of their own lived experience to police officers, fire, and other first responders regarding mental health crisis. In helping to educate the people at the front lines, this team has a real impact in decriminalizing mental illness. Neither has any fear talking about their struggle with mental illness or addiction. As a team, they remain non-judgmental during frequent disclosure of mental health challenges by those in their audience. Terry and Arthur have worked on mental health education in the community no matter what day of the week or what time of day it is. If they are needed to speak at 7 a.m. on the other side of the county, they do it. If they are needed on a Sunday morning or evening, they are there. Terry has become known for asking everyone he encounters, "How are you?" Believe it or not, he always waits for the answer. It does not matter if he knows you or not. He looks at you, smiles, and greets you. If you tell him you have a problem, he will listen and offer help if you want it or suggestions. Both Terry and Arthur have a love for the community they serve and the people who need them, and that includes all of us. Arthur and Terry are both Navy veterans. Thank you guys for your service. David's Hope is honored to present Arthur Jackson and Terry McDermott each with the 2018 Community Member Mental Health Criminal Justice Service Mental Health Collaboration Award.
If you're not involved in CIT, you might not know what NAMI In Our Own Voice is. But Arthur and I, we tell our stories of our own recovery, our dark days, our accepting our illness, our treatment, our coping skills, and what we're doing now. And we never know what effect we're having on the officers, but the other day an officer came up to me afterwards and said, I got a new plan now. Whenever I engage someone that's in crisis, the first thing I'm going to ask them is, are you taking your meds? They did that to Arthur once, and it kind of like, whoa. And then she said, I'm going to ask him, what coping skills could you use right now? And if you don't have any, she said, I'm going to give him some ideas from what you guys said. So this is going to be a win-win. It's going to be great. And if you're not involved in CIT, you might not appreciate this, but Arthur and I have done so many presentations together. We've talked about switching stories. He does mine and I do his. I think Frank and Tanisha, you'll enjoy. You have that to look forward to now. And we have some people to thank. Like you mentioned, we now present at the Police Academy for Mesa. And Amanda, I really appreciate you having us there at 7 a.m. in West Globe. And Sabrina, I don't think she's here, but I really enjoy when we ask the audience, are there any questions? And Arthur starts to cringe because Sabrina says, I have some questions for Arthur. And then also, is Jessica, are you here? Okay. Yeah, we got involved in the CST, the Crisis Support Training for the teams for the fire department and Chandler. And she asked me if we do a presentation, or if we would get involved in the CST program. And I thought that would be one presentation. It turned out to be 22. That was early in the morning. That was fun. So we really appreciate all of that. But we just love what we're doing. It's really neat to see the change in the officers, and we enjoy the questions. And it's a big part of our own recovery to do this, and we learn from every question we get. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank David's Hope for this award and thank NAMI for the opportunity to go out and present for all the people that we serve.
Last but not least, we have Mary Ellen Shepard, retired. And I think Dr. Noggle is going to be accepting on her behalf. You know, I couldn't believe it the other day. My kids told me that I was being immature. I told them to get out of my fort. I saved that one for you, Don. Mary Ellen Shepard is being recognized for her service to our community, which began in Maricopa County in 1981 as a pretrial interviewer at the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. During her 28 years at the Sheriff's Office, Mary Ellen served in a number of significant roles, including Deputy Chief. While at the Sheriff's Office, she was responsible in 2011 for bringing the National Institute of Corrections to Maricopa County for the Justice and Jail Transition Program consultation and assessment that ultimately became the Maricopa County Smart Justice Work Group, later formalized as a subcommittee of the Maricopa County Justice Steering Committee. In July 2012, Mary Ellen became Assistant County Manager and has served the county's Justice System Coordinator. She has been tirelessly committed to improving the lives of people who become justice involved by improving the various aspects of the criminal justice system through collaboration. Her emphasis on data-driven decision-making has made Maricopa County a leader in these efforts, including the Stepping Up initiative. First and foremost, Mary Ellen is known and loved by all of us for her compassion, kindness, and perseverance to always make the right, hard choices for the individuals most vulnerable and in need of our service. In 2016, Mary Ellen was appointed as a member of the Arizona Supreme Court's Fair Justice Task Force, which she served until the committee's work ended in 2018. In this capacity, she advocated for the creation of a subcommittee to study and make recommendations to the court on how best to improve outcomes for people with mental illness who are justice involved. Mary Ellen remains a committed mental health advocate whose work has improved the lives of people with mental illness who are justice involved. David's Hope is honored to present Mary Ellen Shepard with the 2018 Community Member Mental Health Criminal Justice Collaboration Award, being accepted by Dr. Don Nagel.
I can't really do justice to Mary Ellen. She very much wanted to be here tonight, but she was flying out to California. When I listened, David, to what you said about April, those are really words that speak to Mary Ellen. She is all heart, with a brilliant mind, incredible perseverance, and such a work ethic. She has embodied this work before we had terms like stepping up or smart justice, and worked tirelessly. If for any of you that know her, she's like this big and very teeny tiny, but she is a powerful presence. She brought to bear every resource that she could within the county, and those of us that had connections into the community, doing everything she could to keep all of us working. She worked harder than all of us put together, but to keep us working hard to make things happen. It's a shame she can't be here. This means so much to her, because to her this is really what it's all about. She would be speaking about all of you, and like our judge from Tucson, she would say, give yourself all a big hand. She would also say, take care of yourselves in this work, because this is a road that we will be traveling for a long time. And unfortunately, it will take the next generation to see this work through. So in honor of her, let's take care of each other. Let's live this love for one another and for all of the people that we serve.
Well, folks, that's my set. Don't forget to tip your waitresses. Try the veal. I'll turn it over to Mary Ellen. But I do have one more joke. Are you ready? Okay, so there's all these cops in this room. I need to report a theft. Somebody stole my limbo trophy. I mean, how low can you go? Sorry, Mary Lou.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm going to let Sheriff Masher or Sam, would you like to close tonight and just tell everyone good night and maybe say goodbye? Okay, we'll have you talking tomorrow, Sam.
God bless. Thank you all. Good night.